Before I begin, I need to share my pain. I just was talking for about 5 minutes and turns out my mic wasn't fucking working. So this sucks. This is a good reason why you always do sound checks before you start recording. And 99% of the time, I always do a test 1, 2 just to make sure everything's working. And I just didn't for this time. And of course, this is the one time where it fucking matters. Anyway, Drifting Net Cafe is another manga by Shuzo Oshimi. Yes. He wrote Akunohana / The Flowers of Evil. They're both very similar stories. Drifting Net Cafe has the same kind of mechanical elements that propel the story to the places that it needs to go. Namely, the main character notes that the girl that he likes smells nice, which is one of the similar kind of things that happens with the main character in Akunohana when he wants to steal her gym clothes, the girl that he likes, and sniff them and be all weird before he gets caught into a plot of blackmail and all the other things. Drifting Net Cafe has a very different plot, but the impetus is about the same. It's also very similar to Goodnight Pun Pun in that the main character has a settled life now, but he can't get over his first crush. I'm not gonna really go into the aspect of longing for a crush from middle school because I spoke about that to death in Goodnight Pun Pun, but summarized here, if you are married and you are lusting over a middle school crush, you're a fucking loser. And if you read a story like that, you're also a fucking loser. People in middle school age very differently, and you shouldn't be attracted to anyone in middle school. That's just fucking lame. The only reason I can explain it is because the age of consent is lower in Japan, but still middle schoolers are not hot. No, and I'm the first person to admit that generally younger girls are, attractive, but middle school, fuck off. Anyway, Drifting Net Cafe is to Suzo Oshimi what Girl on the Shoreline is for Inio Asano. So Inio Asano wrote Goodnight Pun Pun, and he wrote Girl on the Shoreline, and Girl on the Shoreline just feels like a hornier, shittier version of Goodnight Pun Pun. It's getting way too fucking hot in here. And Drifting Net Cafe just feels like a hornier, but not as sexy, but a hornier from the author's point of view manga. So what happens in Drifting Net Cafe? I'm just gonna go over the things that happen, and I think you'll understand enough the quality of this manga. So the main character comes home, gets yelled at by his wife, who is in the manga for 1 chapter. She is pregnant with his child. She is completely unreasonable. She just yells and screams, and she's drawn in one of those crazy anime rah, 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 just doing crazy faces, just screaming like a ding dong. So the author already makes you hate her, and there's just no reason at all. The main character is a bit of a dick. I think he kind of pushes her, and then he goes to work, and then she tries to kind of apologize, and he decides to go into this net cafe because he doesn't want to go home to his wife because he's just such a horrible, miserable salaryman or businessman or whatever. And so he goes into this net cafe, and then he runs into his middle school crush, Tono, Tono. I don't know what her name is. Kano. She's the girl in the image I have here. So she's her. He runs into her, and they start talking, and then they're gonna read some manga or hang out, and then something happens where all the main characters or all the characters in the net cafe get teleported to a net cafe, but in a strange land. So the first thing that happens is that main character kind of bonds with Tono. I don't remember what her first name is. Whatever. Kind of bonds with him for a little bit, and then they decide to go exploring in the world, and it turns out the world is just kind of this swampy mess around the net cafe. There's nothing else there. And then a girl gets attacked by a weird kind of like leech, like lamprey leech thing. It like attacks her leg and they like burn it off. And this is where the manga starts getting really bad. So, they're walking out there. Two of the characters are business people, and one of the guys gets mad at the other guy and he kills him with like a knife or something. And he has a weapon. And then the first thing he does is he points to the hot girl who was on a date and he's like, "You're gonna suck my dick." And I didn't really think the manga was gonna go that far. Oh, nope, the manga goes way further than that. So she's blowing him in front of everybody, and the main character is like, just like, "Oh, I gotta say something. I gotta say something. I gotta stop this. I gotta use my words and say something. Oh gosh, jolly jillikers, boy, do I gotta say something." That's the main character 90% of the time. He's a soy beta cuck. He doesn't even deserve the one woman that he has, let alone two. So, main character doesn't do anything. Then another one of the male characters has another weapon, a taser, and he approaches the guy and he's like, "Oh, I see you have a weapon. Well, then let's, I guess we can be civil about this." And they're talking about how they're both gonna bang her. And before that can take place, big guy, I'm just gonna refer to him as big homeless man. I don't know, he's big guy. Big guy shows up and he just punches them both out, and you think, "Oh yeah, like great, no more rape, right? Haha." No, he punches them out, and then he actually rapes the girl, and that part is just, this is when it gets really fucking stupid, because the main character is like, "Oh gosh, jolly jillikers, now I really gotta say something. I really gotta stop them. I gotta use my words. My words are gonna be, oh, they're not gonna listen to me. Oh gosh, jolly jillikers. Oh," and so like all while this is happening, the main character, or I mean the big homeless man, is raping the blonde girl, and then the main character spots the taser and he's like, "Oh, maybe I can tase him," and he tries to do that, and he takes so long to have any kind of reaction that big homeless man comes inside hot girl, and then he is so strong he is able to, he like lifts her up and uses her as a shield, and takes the taser hit because he has like ultra sensory perception post coming, I guess. Yeah, it's just fucking stupid. And then somehow, for some fucking reason, they're all just like, "Okay, let's all go back home now." Like, that's it. They just all decide to go back home. It's a little awkward, but it's really stupid. And then a series of like, basically the big homeless man uses the girl to like get people on his side by having her do sex with them in various ways. It's very dumb. By the end of the manga, let's just skip ahead to the end of the manga because that's all that matters. So this is 7 volumes. I can tell you, from volume 1, after the premise setup, you just skip to the end. Honestly, it gets so stupid. It's, the plot is revealed to you so explicitly, where they're like, "Oh, do you think this is her world because this is her desire? Oh no, it's your world actually. That you made this." Blah blah. It's just so like ham-fisted. Like, don't even like, why did they, there's these characters who are these like spiritualists who like believe in all this like weird mysticism and shaman stuff and all this weird stuff, and just that whole aspect was just dropped into the manga just to explain the plot, and it just didn't need to exist. Anyway, flash forward to the end of the manga. The main bad guy, big homeless man, is big and homeless, and he's on the roof, and he's like gonna have everyone have an orgy. But then Tono, main girl, is gonna kill herself, and then that makes a big bell that makes everyone go sleepy time. But somehow big homeless man is just immune to everything. And the next time we see everyone, all their tendons are cut, and they're all like crawling around in the net cafe naked. And then because there hasn't been enough rape, big homeless man also rapes like the one girl who like has just been like, she has a boyfriend there, and like, and they're both kind of like shy people who've just been kind of like on the fringes trying to like hide. So like they just, of course, everyone in the manga needs to be raped or sexually assaulted at some point if you're a female. So that happens. That just felt like it was in such bad taste because like it already felt like the manga was tasteless shit. But then to just like, oh well, there's one female left who hasn't been like sexually assaulted yet, but we gotta check that box. We gotta do that. So that happens, and then there's just all this time spent on like explaining the most obvious symbolism. So like a little child appears, and the child refers to the main character as daddy. So like it becomes very obvious that the manga is about the main character's reluctance to start a family with this woman when he has these hangups over a girl that he had a crush on in middle school. Turns out the net cafe that his desire to see his middle school crush again manifested this whole like alternate reality, and it is real for everyone except Tono. Like she was never real, she was just in his head, and at the end he has this decision of I can stay here with her. Everyone else got to return. Everything that happened there was real. The psychological pain is real. The physical pain is not real. Once they die, they go back to the real world and they're all fine, but they still have the memories of what happened. That was all real. Except Tono, but because she's not really there. So if the main character goes back, she's not going to be there. So his final decision is, do I stay here in fake land with her? But like, what the fuck are you going to do every day? Like, what the fuck? Or are you going to go back and be with your wife? And honestly, this manga is so boring. I don't remember what happens. I'm pretty sure he leaves. And I think at the end we see like actual Tono like out in the world somewhere. Kind of similar to the Angel Beats anime, except like even shittier. This manga's trash. I was only reading it out of morbid curiosity, and then it just got worse and worse. I regret paying money for it. It just at the end, it felt like I was reading a Junji Ito manga at the end because it just became so ham-fisted. And the thing was is that the author tried to make it subtle, like oh there's the cell phone, bam, like oh there's a why does it have these pictures from your perspective? That doesn't make any sense. Why does her phone have pictures on it of her from your perspective when you were younger? That doesn't make any like it just draws such heavy attention to the mystery that makes it feel like the author was insecure about the audience's ability to understand his work. But the problem is one, the work is not worth understanding because it's just like really like trashy. Just the antagonist, there didn't even need to be an antagonist. If you wrote this manga well and better, there didn't need to be an antagonist. But you just have the most generic antagonist. That one, he sexually assaults women. Two, he's physically unstoppable. Those are his two traits, and that's it. And three, he is a big scary man, and that's it. Like he has no personality. His personality goes from completely rational and reasonable and the smartest person in the group to disgusting, horrific, sex pervert, monster human. And it oscillates between these two people whenever the plot needs him to be these different things. But the problem is like that character's homeless. Like maybe homeless Japanese people are different than homeless people in America. But generally homeless people are not really either of those things. So it's very bizarre. It's very, very bizarre. It's just bad. I would do a tier list. I think Tono, even though she isn't real, is the closest thing to a top tier character. I would put her at A. There's not really a lot of kinkiness in this manga, unlike in Akunohana. I guess I would put the rapist man maybe at S tier. I mean, I can't really put him there just because of all the rape that he does and all the other shit. But he does have the best moments that are like the funniest in the manga, where he's like punching people and he's like telling them to like say it. because these people there at the net cafe think that they're like there's a spiritual spot and they went there and they caused all this weird shit to happen. I don't know, it's kind of dumb. But most of the all the characters are unforgivable or are forgettable, unforgivable. And it doesn't matter. The story sucks. The main character is an absolute peak beta male who doesn't deserve anything. And the whole time I was just waiting for. Honestly, this manga would have been great if the big homeless man did rape main girl and main character saw it. That would have been great. And the reason is because the main character is a fucking loser that needed to get like a reality check. Um, and she isn't real, so I guess it's like not as bad. Like if there was gonna be a rape, it should have been like on her, because like she's not even a real person. She's literally a figment of his imagination. But basically, the manga, like I said, it's just about letting go of your past and moving on with your present. But we don't see the past that he's longing for. We see like pieces of it, but the past that he's longing for, like he didn't even want to be a part of that past. So it's like really awkward. And then in the present that he has, we only see one snippet of it, and his wife is like crazy. And maybe it's like hormones, but like it just it's so weird because it rushes so fast to get into the story, but then it gets into mud. Soon as they go to Fantasyland where there's like all swampiness and everything, it feels like they're treading mud because it just takes so fucking long for anything to happen. And then by the time like things start happening, but then they stop happening, and then there's like mystery, but there's not mystery, and just like how often things are signpost about like here's that thing, you're gonna remember that thing, like it just feels so obvious. Like I just didn't care at all. I was just reading it to finish it because I thought maybe it would. I was just curious, like, what is the final mystery? Like, why not? Why does this place exist? But like, what is he gonna choose? Like, is he gonna fuck her or whatever? And he doesn't even. We don't even. That's the worst part. It's like we don't really see them have sex. I don't even think they have sex. I think they get interrupted every time. So there's this constant like cock blocking. So I don't even think him and Tono had sex. He couldn't even have sex with this fucking a figment of his own imagination. He couldn't even have sex with his own in his own mind. Like, oh god, fuck this manga. It's bad. It's a F out of 10 is what I give it, and that's my review. And if you liked it, I'm sorry, but 7 volumes. That's like 1,000 plus pages. To get to this is inexcusable. You man, just spend your time better. Author, write some other shit. I don't know. It was bad. And if you like it, you're dumb. Fuck you.